Welcome, everyone, to the Reignite Your Passion podcast. Here is Andrea, and today our guest is a transformational life coach that helps people going from feeling stuck to, whoa, this is life. Welcome, Bara.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Nice. And where are you based?
I am in Southern California in the U.S., right near Hermosa Beach.
All right. How is living in California right now?
It's pretty nice. I mean, it's really cold today. I have to put on maybe a light jacket, but yeah, it's pretty perfect.
Nice. I think it's sure warmer than here. Here I am in Greece and it's pretty cold right now. So winter is coming. And so, okay, let's start with a little bit of background of yourself. So give us an idea of who you are. Just share whatever you feel comfortable to share.
Sounds good. I would say that I'm a fun-loving person who really enjoys connecting with other people. I get energized from being around people, especially strangers. It's like I need to have some conversation with a stranger at least every other day or so, even if it's just while I'm buying my coffee. Or I don't even drink coffee, so I don't know why I said that, but I go to coffee shops a lot. So even if it's while I'm buying my tea or whatever, I really like to engage with new and different people and the world. I like to get out in nature and connect with the earth and rollerblade.
And we are talking also about like approaching strangers in a cafe. How do you approach strangers, total stranger in cafes?
Well, usually, I guess I don't usually think of it as approaching someone. If I did, maybe that would feel like a little bit more pressure, but it's interesting. Now that you said that, I was like, this might sound a little weird, approaching strangers, but really just interacting with different people. And a lot of times that just starts with whatever it is that you have in common. I mean, say someone's wearing a t-shirt or something that resonates with me, maybe saying something about that. Or a lot of times it's just in a shared smile. Then maybe following it up with, what a beautiful day today, right?
Nice.
And a lot of times they'll agree. And then sometimes they'll start talking about the experience they had that morning or something. I think a lot of times people just want an invitation to talk and open up.
Yes, exactly. I think that's why I asked you, because I guess everybody nowadays especially really wants to interact with people. It's just that maybe are afraid they don't know how to start, or they don't know if they should or they can interact with the person, with a stranger. So yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think fear is a really big thing, and it's a huge obstacle for a lot of people, fear of rejection. So
right.
I think just getting comfortable with yourself, and I think it's a lot easier once we've realized that if someone does or doesn't respond to you, it doesn't mean anything about you. They might be having a bad day. They might not have even known you were talking to them. I can think of so many times when I thought someone was waving at me and I get uncomfortable because, especially before I did a lot of the work that I've done on myself, I used to really be afraid of waving back if they weren't waving at me, and once we get rid of all of that, if I wave at someone and somebody else waves back at me, that still feels good,
Yeah, definitely. Still a connection. Yeah. Still,
right.
You actually made a connection with it. Beautiful. Okay, great. So, since the podcast is about passion, what is passion for you?
I think my definition of passion, if I pictured it, it's a fiery energy. It has a lot of fuel behind it. It's not just liking something, but it's feeling this need almost to do that thing. I think passion is often the thing that can bring us into a flow state where you can just lose time talking about something all day. To me, the things that I can do that with, those are my passions.
Beautiful. Do you have someone in mind beside you, of course? And that could be a person you know or you don't know, or someone from the history or fiction, like a movie character or whatever it is, that represent passion.
Maybe it's just because she's on my mind right now, but Taylor Swift. She is so passionately herself and so passionate about her own rights, and I think other people's rights too. She's going to do the thing that she thinks is right, unapologetically.
Yeah, I see that in her as an artist. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And she has been successful doing that. So, well, that's probably a good reference. So what are you passionate about?
I will pick 3 passions for this conversation. I think when I knew you'd ask me this question from listening to your other podcasts, and I thought, okay, well, there's a lot of things that I'm passionate about, but 3 things I'm so passionate, I named my business after them. And those are connection, compassion, and conscious awareness, which could also be called mindfulness. But I wanted it to start with a CO. So
Connection, compassion,
and conscious awareness.
Conscious awareness. Okay. Which one would I choose between the 3? Compassion. Tell me, what's compassion for you?
Compassion for me is the ability to see. It's one of the things that gives us the true ability to connect. Maybe I could say, I don't think this is the proper definition, but it gives us the ability to see the good in anything and everything. It's almost a practice of looking for the good in ourselves, in others. I think that's how I define it.
It's like appreciation, like gratitude, more or less. They go close together, right?
I think they do.
What are you, let's say, grateful about in your life right now? Like appreciation.
I'm really grateful for my ability to feel joy. That comes very easily. I'm grateful for my self-awareness that I guess could be called conscious awareness that I've been developing over time, but I feel very in tune now to know, okay, right now I'm not feeling so great, but if I go do this thing, I'll feel better. Or even just my ability to notice, wow, my shoulders hiked up a little bit. My body will feel better if I relax. I'm grateful for the goodness in everyone and everything and my ability to find that and experience it. I'm grateful for the sun and the sand, and I could do this for the whole podcast if you want.
Okay, let's keep going. No, it's okay, but I love it. I love gratefulness and appreciation. I came up with that just because you talked about compassion. So the compassion is more or less like gratitude and appreciation. I always find a way to actually ask somebody about gratitude or appreciation because I think it's one of the most life-changing practices that a human being can possibly have. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Anyway, you are a transformational coach that turn people into their best self. So how did it all started? What is the story behind becoming a transformational life coach?
Well, I used to be an engineer and I worked in the oil industry as an engineer. while I was there, I kind of started this whole self-discovery journey on accident. I learned about mindfulness practice or meditation, thinking that it would help me focus better at work. So I started training myself better in that. As I was doing that, I was developing this awareness of myself and everything else. And that kind of helped me get guided to things like compassion practice. And in a way, that's probably what helped me be guided to energy healing. And I started experiencing the benefits of it from others and training myself in it a little bit. And then when the pandemic hit and we went into lockdown, I'd actually just moved a couple of days before the state of California basically shut down and we weren't allowed to leave our homes. I drove down and lived with my parents for the beginning of that time because I didn't even have a place that I was fully renting. I just had an Airbnb. And while I was there, I was getting triggered a lot because family tends to trigger us. And I was getting deeper with my mindfulness and meditation practices. I had so much more time and I had to tap in more to soothe myself, basically, and respond to these triggers. And then it became very clear that I wasn't quite living in alignment, as I describe myself as an environmentalist. And I realized, well, as an environmentalist, maybe I shouldn't be working in the oil industry. That's not necessarily the best place for me. And I started tuning into all of these things and realizing that for a long time, engineering hadn't felt like my passion, maybe ever. But I never stopped to ask myself, what is my passion? What do I really care about? So I started developing that clarity. I had a great opportunity with my company to leave and be supported in that process because they were going through a layoff situation. And I hired my own life coach, hoping that would help me pick my next career. Wound up actually on this, decided with her that I wasn't ready to pick my own career. Wound up on a whole spiritual journey. I went to a lot of different healers and teachers, and I was really piecing it together by myself. And it was quite isolating and lonely. The world as I knew it was changing, and I didn't really have someone to support me through that process, especially in the beginning. And then when I decided I was ready to figure out my career and I asked the universe to help me figure it out, people started calling me for their own coaching unofficially, even more than they had been. I realized I'd been coaching people my whole life, but now people were really coming to me and seeking it out. And I realized, wow, I've just did all of this work in a very lonely, confusing sense. Now I can put it all together and make it clear for other people and guide them through this process. So I can take the best things that I've learned from all of these different teachers and support other people in their own healing journey.
What kind of transformation people will have if they come to you, or they expect to have at least?
It will depend a little bit on what they're looking for, but because I don't do like a cookie cutter process. That's one of the really cool things about the energy healing and the engineering background is I've learned how to take these different tools and put them together in different ways and design the right approach for the right person. But by the end of it, no one usually comes to me looking for more joy, but they're going to find more joy in everyday life. They are going to connect easier with other people and with themselves. Right. And they'll have a lot more clarity about themselves and what they want to do. So that could help them to get the right job that is truly right for them or whatever that might be. But I think even more powerful is in their existing work or in their existing relationships or everyday interactions, they're going to enjoy them more and feel better. Because it's like hard to describe how that works, but it's just this general vibrational lift.
Yeah, it looks like somehow the real change is, as you said, like energetically, like healing. Is the energy vibration. That's when a person really change. And sometimes it doesn't really happen immediately. It is like a compound of practices, one after another. All of a sudden you feel like, whoa, wait a second. I can forgive now. And for everyone is different. The result will be different.
Yeah. And I think what you just said is so cool. And something that I've been focused on this week, I've realized that so many of us, I'm sure a lot of the people listening to your show have been somehow working on personal growth in some sort of sense. But a lot of times we don't see the personal growth because unless we specifically look for it, because like you said, wait, I can forgive. We don't notice the grudge when it's not there. We notice the grudge when it was there sometimes. So I think it's really important that everyone slows down and looks around and pays attention to their interactions with other people and their experience with their triggers, or if that trigger's even still there, or how they respond in different situations, and gives themselves credit to say, wow, you know what? A year ago, I would have been really upset when that person flipped me off in traffic. But today I'm able to just smile and let it go and wish them well.
I was listening the other day to a spiritual teacher that was actually talking about enlightenment, and he said it so beautifully. He said, like, real enlightenment on this physical form is really like being able to react differently to something that used to trigger you emotionally, or and makes you feel in a certain way. So just react differently, of course, in a positive way, but like feeling like it's not a big deal anymore. So that is actually is either enlightenment or the path to enlightenment. So that's exactly like that, like you just said. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I want everyone to look for those moments and give themselves credit for them, which a lot of us weren't taught to do, I think, as kids. I know I got this message somewhere that I shouldn't think too highly of myself. So I wasn't looking for opportunities to give myself credit. But then I started noticing when I was working with other people that I would see how much they improved and they wouldn't see it. And when I'd tell them and they'd realize and get excited. But just giving people this message of, hey, go look for this stuff and give yourself some credit because you're the one doing the work,
Yes, exactly. Great. Love it. One last thing about the transformation. What's the one of the things that you never told about your transformed you?
Ooh, that transformed me.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the things was being hurt by a friend, and back then that was a language that I used, that they hurt me, but just experiencing, I didn't even know really what the emotions were at the time. There was a lot of anger and very intense emotions. And now I know that that's one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I had to look for a way to, in a way, forgive them actually, and to still exist in spaces that they were in without going into a rage or trying to avoid them. And losing things that I loved because I didn't want to be around them anymore. And that's what led me to compassion. And that's ultimately what led me to right where I am today.
Beautiful. Talking about love and people, what is the best way to love someone?
I think it might be to love yourself first.
Nice.
If we are looking to someone else to always provide the love and validation that we need, then we're going to be constantly disappointed by them. But if we love ourselves fully, we can love all the little things about them because we know that they don't mean anything about us. We can love them when they get upset over something silly, because silly to us, we can just see that as their adorable personality trait instead of seeing it as an attack on who we are.
What's your superpower?
It might be to see the goodness in everyone and everything, and to help others see it in themselves.
Did you have any feedback from, of course, beside your clients, from others?
Yeah. I think I've probably heard it for a while, but I only just started receiving it in the last year or so. But people will tell me that they can see and feel my light. And that was a really cool thing to hear. And I think that message that they feel a light when they're around me. And I don't think it's me. I think it's them allowing it in,
So they feel the light, your light. Do you feel your light?
I do feel my light. It took me a while, and there might be some days when I don't feel it fully, but I feel it and it feels good.
What do you do to see it?
Well, I guess it does depend on the day. I'll try to connect with my body and what it needs. Sometimes it's literally just improving my own mood, which I can do a lot of times by listening to the right music or by going outside. A lot of times combining those things. If I listen to good music while I ride my bike around or rollerblade, that's going to lift my mood up a lot. Sometimes it's calling a person whose light I feel, or whose love I can really feel and absorb. If I'm talking to my mom, I'm going to feel loved. And sometimes it's just allowing, that might melt my heart enough to allow that in, and then allow me to bring it up. Those are some of my favorite ways.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Change of state is really like a change of feeling. Change of state is really like a change of destiny.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful. So if you could change one thing in the world, what would that be?
I want to live in a world in which everyone knows and feels that they matter and they belong.
That they matter and they belong. Yeah. Nice. I love this conversation. Thank you for the work that you're doing as a transformational coach and as is that okay to say healer, or?
Yes. Yeah, you can
okay?
say that.
Yeah. Okay. And as a healer. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much this has been a gift for me. I can truly feel your light. And I know your listeners won't be able to see this, but they're actually on my screen. It looks like there's this beam of light radiating out of your mouth, which is amazing.
I think it's the light of the room. I think.
I know it's the room, but it just fits so perfectly because I feel that from you. So now to see it also is pretty cool.
Great. Thank you. So where people can find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Bara. That's BARACOBARA. or they can find me on the web at baraco.org.
Nice. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing with us all these amazing golden nuggets of yours. And keep going, do your job, because more and more people nowadays need and crave for this kind of transformation and healing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Take care.